folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey, right here on the Dice Tower. Today we're going to be taking a look at Splito. This is a neat little card game from 25th Century Games. It supports up to 8 players, and it can play within about 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. So let's get down to the table and we'll take a look at it, and then we'll have some final thoughts right after that. Let's hit it. So here I have a 4-player game of Splito set up for you, and the setup is lightning fast. So first of all, what you're going to do is you're going to just randomly take out 1 moon objective and 1 star objective from the deck, set them out at the center of the table. These are going to be community objectives that everybody can try to achieve throughout the course of the game. And then you simply deal out 13 cards to all of the players, put the rest of the cards back in the box, and now you're ready to go. On your turn, you're simply going to play one of your cards face down in the gap between you and your neighbor on the right or you and the neighbor on your left. And once everybody has chosen one of their cards, you're going to turn them over simultaneously. And now once you have turned over these cards, these are objective cards that are going to be what these 2 players are going to try to achieve in their neighborhood, so to speak. These 2 cards are cards that are going to be used to accomplish those objectives. Maybe it's not the best thing to start with putting down these cards, but there might be some synergy here because maybe one or these 2 have something to do with the number 4 or the color. So there could be a number of different reasons why you choose to play the cards in between you. But after everybody has played the cards, you're going to take your hand of cards and pass it to the player on your left. And now that you each have a new deck of card or hand of cards in front of you, now you're going to choose another card to play in either the right neighborhood or the left neighborhood. Once all of the cards have been played out from everybody's hands, so you're going to basically go for 13 rounds of playing cards, you're going to calculate the number of points that each player is going to get from their neighborhoods. So this player right here will calculate the number of points that he gets from here and here, multiply them together, and that's the points that this player is going to have at the end of the game for their final score. So let's go to a scoring example. Well, let's say that you are the player, and these are the 2 neighborhoods that you've been playing cards into over the course of 13 rounds. So what you're going to do is look at your goal cards and see if you have achieved any of them. So this one says that you have to have exactly 2 cards with a value of 5. So there are 2 cards with a value of 5, so you get those 2 points. This one is basically the same, just with the number 3. You achieved that, so you get 2 more points, so 4 points altogether. And now this one says you have exactly 3 different colors. Well, you've got a purple, a yellow, and you have 2 greens, but that is exactly 3 different colors. So you've achieved this one as well, and this is 4 points. So in this neighborhood, you got 8 points. Over here in this neighborhood, you had to have at least 1 card of these 3 different colors. Well, you've got pink, orange, and you've got a yellow 5 over here, so you definitely achieved that. That's 1 point. This one, you have exactly 2 cards with a value of 6. You only got 1, so you didn't get those points at all. Over here, you have a strict majority of 1 cards, and you have 2. So let's just say for the example that you were able to accomplish this one, so you have 4 points available in this one. Then everybody, all of the neighborhoods in the game are going to look to see who has these strict majorities here. Let's say that somebody else got this one, so that one's not part of your tabulation. But let's say that 3 oranges did definitely get you the strict majority in a single neighborhood for that. So that's 3 more points. So you got 3, 6, 7 points from this one, and you've got 2, 4, 8 points from this one. So you'll take 7, multiply it by 8, and you'll come up with 56 as your score. Whichever individual has the highest number of points at the end of the game is the winner. All right, so my final thoughts for Splito are quite simple. Generally speaking, I like the game. I think it's a good game for gateway type situations when you have a lot of people to account for. This will handle anywhere from 3 all the way up to 8 players, but it also has a 2-player variant as well. So there is a lot of, I guess you could say, diversity there in the rule set, because you can go from all the way from 2 all the way to 8. There aren't a whole lot of games that can do that with this level of simplicity and still keep it engaging and challenging. The length of the game, 15 to 30 minutes, is pretty stinking good because it's a good palate cleanser between 2 larger games, or you can play this multiple times, and it can kind of take front stage if you play multiple times. So I think that's a cool thing, especially for a card game. Mechanisms, neighborhood or neighbor scope is one that I really had never given a name to. I didn't know that name existed, but neighbor scope is a cool way to kind of describe the mechanism of your playing cards in between you and your neighbors on either side. And you're going to be helping them score points, but they're going to be helping you score points. But at the end of the game, it's just how you have done. You don't win with your neighbor. You only help them score points, and they're going to help you score points. But at the same time, there can also be some, I guess you could call, sabotaging going on, because they do have the ability to play a card in your neighborhood that will make it impossible to score one of the goal cards that's already there. And then the simultaneous action selection, that's not really action selection. It's basically just you're choosing a card to play in one neighborhood or the other, but it is done simultaneously. So one thing that the mechanisms didn't really say is that there is some restricted communication in the game as well. So take that into effect. As far as my pros and cons are concerned, this will be pretty simple because it's a very light game and it's a very simple game. But first of all, one of the pros for me is that it supports 8 players. And I like that because sometimes I'm in a situation where I'm teaching new gamers how to play games, and sometimes there's a lot of them. And being able to handle 8 players at once with one game, that's going to be challenging, and yet simple enough to where you can teach 8 or rather 7 other people how to play. That's a really cool thing in my opinion. And I find myself in that situation a lot recently, and I think I'm going to be in that situation a lot in the near future, so I like that as a pro. The second pro is that it has lightning fast setup. Sometimes, even though the game's mechanisms might be simple, you might lose some people, or you might lose some of the focus that the people have when you are setting up the game. You won't have that with this, because simply you take 2 cards that are community objectives, boom, put them out on the table, and then you deal out 13 cards, boom, put the rest of the cards back in the box, you're ready to go. Lightning fast setup, so I really like that a lot. Third pro of the game is that it has simple mechanisms with some substantial decisions that you have to make throughout the course of the game. So all you're doing on your turn is you're playing a card out of your hand to your right or to your left. That's it. But you do have to keep in mind, well, I have to keep these gold cards working, and I have to keep these gold cards working. So which one of these am I going to play this card down into? And then on top of that, sometimes you're going to be faced with a situation where, wow, I don't really have any cards that are really going to help me. What cards are just simply not going to hurt me? It's those kinds of things that are going on throughout the course of the game. But the other mechanism that's kind of thrown in there, the twist, is that you have to take your hand of cards, and give it to the person to your left. So that rotating of your hand is really the twist that really makes this game fun. And I really, really enjoy that a lot. So that simple mechanisms are there, and you have some good decisions to make during the course of the game. But that twist of having to take your hand of cards and give it to the next person, knowing that it's probably going to come back around to you at some point. So that's a really cool twist on a very simple yet challenging set of mechanisms. Now, my con for the game, and really it's the only con, and really it depends on the person how big of a con this is going to be, and that is simply that there is a considerable amount of mathiness at the end of the game. Yes, it's just addition on both sides, and then multiplication to put the two together. I know it's not that much, but it can be overwhelming. I've seen it be overwhelming to very intellectual people. So it's not that I think that there is too much math in the game, but the level of simplicity that the mechanisms have is a little bit off-kiltered by the amount of math you're having to do at the end of the game. It's not overbearing. It's not overwhelming for most, I would say, but it could be for some, which is why I'm putting this here. I don't think it's a huge deal, and I don't think this is a huge con, and it hasn't really adversely affected my rating of the game too terribly much, because at the end of the day, they do have these score sheets. Give it to the person who has the best math ability. They will come up with the scores, lickety-split. It's not that difficult, but some people might be a little bit overwhelmed, and you might have to do some math for them at the end of the game. That's the only reason I put it into a con. So my rating of the game here is going to be a solid 7 out of 10. For me personally, this is not necessarily a game that I'm always going to want to play. Do I want it in my arsenal? If I'm in that situation where I've got 5, 6, or 7 people that want to play a game together, absolutely. I will always want it with me in case I need it. So that's why it's getting a 7 out of 10, because it's not one that I really will always enjoy. I don't really like mathiness in games, but it is supremely useful in those kinds of situations where you have a lot of players and you just want a palate cleanser, or you want a kind of a first step type of game to teach to people. I think it's a great game, and I think it's going to be widely useful in those large player count situations, and I think it'd be worth you picking up at any rate. But that's it from me. Thank you for joining us here on the Dice Tower. So it's 7 out of 10 for Splito, and I want to thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you on the flip side. Take care.